Welcome to Kindred, hosted by me, Kate, and my sister, Jen. In this podcast, we explore our human relationship to the natural world. In connecting to this planet, we also connect to understanding, compassion, and empathy. How can we see ourselves as not separate or above animals in nature, but a critical and integrated part of an active ecosystem? Through conversations with animal advocates, scientists, conservationists, and many others, we look to inspire a new awareness of how and why we connect to animals in nature in order to repair and restore our relationship to the natural world. Hello, and welcome to Kindred, a podcast that really loves baby animals, especially the one we're going to be talking about today. Am I right? Don't give it away yet.
Yes, I won't.
We especially love them now. And speaking of babies, sister, I'd like to congratulate you on becoming a grandmother. OMG.
Thank you. Thanks.
Round of applause in my noise-canceling headphones so you can't hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like you're too young to be, like, you're like a teen grandma is maybe what I feel like. Can you be a teen grandma?
I was feeling pretty young until a woman at my gym is 46 and she's a grandmother, so I didn't feel young anymore.
Younger.
But now it's her stepdaughter, so it's not her actual daughter who had a baby. But
I feel like you're still really young to be grandma. But you know what? I'm going to congratulate you. It's so exciting. I'm also going to congratulate my own self for being a great auntie.
That's right.
You're a grandma,
this is our
and I'm a grandtie.
Well, sort of our second great auntie because of,
I'm a great auntie twice now. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
You're only a grandma once yet, though. So
and
that's
a great
exciting.
aunt once. Yes.
And a great aunt once.
I've got two categories.
Kind of beat you.
You kind of win
in one category.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
But we're equal because we're 1 and 1. So that's exciting.
That's right. Yeah.
But yes, I'm so excited to have that little sweet angel right out of heaven. She just dropped right from my niece, right? Who knew my niece's womb was heaven? So yes, very cute.
She is pretty cute.
Oh,
pretty tiny. She just turned 4 weeks old. Yeah, she's amazing.
Stinky face.
We are having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
I already love her so much.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's great.
Right. So today, another baby we're going to be talking about is a big gray baby. Jen, do you want to guess what we're talking about today?
I don't have to guess, but I can pretend. Would it be elephants?
No, baby rhinos.
Oh, yes, baby rhinos.
Yes, and turns out, my gosh, I'm deeply in love with them as well. So we had the absolute privilege of speaking with the incredible Rhino Orphanage, an organization I have been following since 2012, which I believe is their founding year. And speaking with us today about all things rhinos is head care and manager of Rhino Care, Yolandé van de Merwe. So I would say much of this conversation is heartfelt and really eye-opening, and Yolandé really connects us to how much we can relate to this species and how important they are to their ecosystem. Turns out they are a keystone species after all, and just some major insights into issues of poaching and the illegal international medicinal trade. However, I am going to issue a warning that in this episode, we are going to be talking about violence against animals, and some of that might be difficult to hear. So
it will be difficult to hear 100%, but
yes,
it's also important, right?
It's important, and I think it's a brutal reality of how these calves become orphans in the first place, and it is part of every orphan rhino's experience. And it's really critical to know what is happening to them.
It is.
It's our responsibility to change this. And turns out poaching is a brutal thing, and the long-standing effects are no joke. So the other reason Yolandé talks about what baby rhinos go through is because it really shows us so much about their personalities and how sensitive and dependent and innocent and vulnerable they are, and just how deeply bonded they are to each other and their mothers. that was really, really impacted me. All babies are bonded with their mothers. It just something about these little sweet babies. So, after this episode, you will never see rhinos the same again. And just how much we can relate and connect to them. Um, so yes, and in order for the Rhino Orphanage to do their incredible life-saving work, they rely heavily on donor support. So this is one of those episodes we're going to be promoting a call to action, which means if you go to their website, therhinoorphanage.org, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner on the homepage a big donate tab. So please check out their page, and if you're interested, donate even $5. It's safe and secure. They've been doing this a long time. And security is critical for them too. So feel safe donating through their website. And for sure, follow them on Instagram and Facebook. They have great content there. And we'll have all these links in the show notes and on our website as well. So if you forget everything I just said, you can also go to our website, kindredpodcast.co, and you can also support our small and mighty nonprofit, so to speak. And also you can sign up for our newsletter there, where you can find more information about episodes, what's in the news, how you can support us, and many other fun facts. I know our newsletter is your favorite, Jen. So, and it's just a great way to keep up to speed on what's going in our community. So also, please share this episode with your people, and because word of mouth is really the way we grow. And the more people hear about what's going on with baby rhinos, the more help they get, right? So share away, people. Super important. Okay, sister, are you ready to meet some little rhinos like Dinty Bum and Sweet Annie?
Yeah, let's go do it.
I sure am too. All right, everyone. See you at the takeaway. Yolandé, welcome to Kindred, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you.
Hi, Kate. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Well, my name is Yolandé, and I am the head carer and carer manager at the Rhino Orphanage, which is the world's first rhino orphanage dedicated to saving specifically rhinos. And I've been with the orphanage since its inception way back in 2012.
Incredible. Well, we are, starstruck to have you. Truly, truly. That's not an exaggeration. So tell us, I just want to go back a little bit and talk about, I think, like you said, 2012. Tell us the story of how and why the Rhino Orphanage came to be.
Well, Kate, rhino poaching has always been with us in very small numbers for decades. But then there was a shift in 2010 and poaching started escalating drastically. Now, never in our lives in 2010 did we think that we would ever be doing this. But a good friend of Ari's, Ari is our founder and currently our managing director. He's been my boss for 15 years.
Right.
One of his friends contacted him and said, listen, I need your help. There's been poaching on my property. There was gunshots ringing. There's rhinos down. My staff's going crazy. Please come and help us. And Ari went out to his property, to his friend's property, and there were 2 female rhinos shot. There was a 1-month-old calf shot next to its mother. And the other calf that was shot, she had a 6-month-old calf that ran away. And this baby had joined up with his older sister, who also had a calf of that age. Now, it's not unusual for a female rhino to accept the other calf, but she won't ever nurse it. So anyway, so a month later, Ari got another phone call from the same friend, and they had hit his property again and shot the remaining rhinos on the property, and he could not find this female with the 2 babies. And they searched with the helicopter for over an hour, and they finally decided to give up, and they were flying back to their landing spot. This cow with the 2 babies ran out from a corridor of trees and she was thankfully still alive. But they could see that that second baby had drastic drop in body condition. Because it's so small, it's only 6 months old. It needs milk. It needs proper nutrition. And then Ari's friend said to him, listen, what do I do with this calf? Please help me. There must be somewhere I can send this baby. And Ari said to him, sure, you concentrate on your property. I'll phone around. There should be lots of places. And he started phoning and couldn't find a single dedicated facility that was not a pay and play industry, that didn't have tourism and thousands of people coming through the facilities, paying money to touch the babies, etc., etc., etc. So he then ended up phoning the Endangered Wildlife Trust, and as it may be, kind of a little bit of destiny, they were in a meeting at that time when Ari phoned them about a rhino orphanage, because everyone was up in arms about the calves, about the rhinos, but nobody ever thought about the babies that get left behind, And there was a great number of babies being found and humanely put down because they were for them to go.
Oh my gosh.
So they said to him, they were in talks with South African national parks at that stage, and they said to him, it's all about where was it going to be built, who's going to fund it, who's going to be, where's the expertise, and there's so many different logistical aspects of this whole thing. And then he said to them, I will build it. And I'll never forget the day I was busy with administrative work for the wildlife center that we were running at that stage, and me and Ari's wife were busy in the office, and he walked in and we were like, okay, Ari, what's going on? What happened there? And he put the keys down. I'll never forget this. He put the keys down and he looked at us and said, I'm going to build a rhino orphanage. And the rest has been history. It has not been an easy road. I mean, it's difficult to sell a dream, hey?
Yeah.
And he always said, if we could save the life of just one rhino, it would all be worth it. And we have saved the lives of a number of rhino calves. It is, I can't unfortunately say how many, but it's getting closer and closer to 100 just through our facility.
Wow. So he just added that to what he was already doing in his work, or he just totally shifted over to that and is dedicated to that now as well?
Yeah, he was a history teacher by trade.
Oh, get out. Okay.
Then moved out of the city and became involved with one of the local landowners who started a conservancy. And he met him through giving history to his daughters. He was their history teacher.
Wow.
And so he started getting involved, and he had that shift in his life as well. He left teaching and he was breeding wildlife for this owner, and there were some rescued big cats at our wildlife center. It was the Wildlife and Cultural Center. So when I started working for him, we really focused on especially the captive breeding and carpeting industry for lions and cheetahs and those things, because those are also really awful industries. So that's basically what we were focused on. And then the orphanage came into our lives, and we've not looked back since then.
It's incredible. This is all 2012 too. Like I would have thought, like Ari and you, like, okay, well, let's find the people. Like, I found a rhino, so let's find the rhino baby people, and like they just don't exist. And like to think all of a sudden, here you are, and your lives are changing in a moment of realizing there is nobody, and all this time these babies are being orphaned and left. That's just like, oh, no wonder you're like, okay, well, we need to start one today. That's incredible.
I'm also wondering, Yolandé, why did it get so much worse? You were saying it's always been there, but it seems like it got worse in 2010.
So the defining moment was when a Vietnamese minister in public announced that rhino horn cured his prostate cancer. And
yes, I have heard that.
So it already started. There was a little bit of a stir in 2009. The numbers started going slowly. So it's always been at 14 a year or a 20 a year. But then in 2009, I think it went just over 80 or 100 or something. And then in 2010, it went 327.
Oh my goodness.
And then it went 448, 668. And then for a couple of years, I think it was 5 years, we lost over 1,000 rhinos a year.
I can't even comprehend that.
Yeah, you can't even think. And the people on the ground said that you could safely double those numbers because there are certain things that are not counted with the official poaching statistics.
Yeah.
Like
that makes
babies
sense.
that die because they lost their mothers.
Right.
And
They don't count those. Yeah.
Gunshot victims that die later, unborn babies.
Right.
Rhinos have to be removed because of security issues, and they die under anesthesia. You know, they're very sensitive to anesthesia. So we could safely double those numbers. So it means that I think it was 2015, we lost 2,500 rhinos just in 1 year.
Wow.
So
it's astounding.
Since then, there has been other factors coming. Now it's a party drug for young people. It is a status symbol, and it's driven by syndicates. It is not just end users that drive it. The syndicates drive it at this stage.
Yeah, it's just astounding. Wow. Yeah, it's just my mind's we've heard this and know this, and still hearing you say it just actually like blows up your mind and you know, kind of blows up your heart too. It's just astonishing. So Yolandé, I actually want to get right into one of the biggest reasons we wanted to speak with the Rhino Orphanage, and that is to hear from you about this astonishing moment in an orphaned rhino's life. Like we've been saying, it's an incredible feat of survival for any baby rhino to grow up and live out its wildlife in their environment. The challenges are enormous for any rhino, we know this, but there is no bigger challenge than for a baby rhino to survive the brutal death of their mother and possibly their own attack, you know, by man or beast. And sometimes like at the ages of days or even hours old. And, you know, for a baby rhino to witness the violent death of its mother in a moment and be pulled so dramatically out of their beautiful wildlife and then thrust into like a strictly human world, there must be deep trauma. And it's an astonishing transference or transformation that these babies have to go through. So if you would walk us through this experience and what it must be like for them.
Okay, you know, people see rhinos and they see these big gray animals that graze around, wallow in the mud, and eat grass all day. And I don't think many people realize just how sensitive and emotional rhinos are. I certainly didn't realize it until I started working with these babies. You know, they go from their mother is their whole world. That's all they have at that age, you know, very young rhinos. They're at her for 24/7. They're very social animals. They're very tactile animals. If a rhino crash lays down in the bush to sleep, they will always touch each other. If one lies down and the other's 2-3 meters away, that's not close enough. They'll move up and they'll lie right next to each other. They need that contact. And I can imagine this baby stands there. Its mother has been brutally killed, shot, hacked to pieces. Very often the small babies, it's usually the ones 5 months and younger that stick around their mothers. Their protective instincts are so strong that they will attack these poachers.
Oh,
they
wow.
will charge them and hit them. And in the process, you know, if it's a tiny baby, a poacher is not going to waste an extra bullet on a baby and make more noise.
Right.
Attract the anti-poaching unit to itself. They hit them with pangas, machetes, axes. They hit the baby. I can tell you this, in 2013, we had a baby. We had a call from the Kruger National Park, and they said to us they've got a 1-month-old baby. A 1-month-old rhino is the same height as your knee when you're standing.
Oh, my
little baby had a 10% chance of survival. And they said to us, listen, she's been hacked. She had 21 axe wounds on her head and shoulders. We could see her brain tissue.
Oh, poor angel baby.
And they said to Ari, do you want to come and fetch her, or should we put her down? And he said, of course. 10% is not nothing, it's something. And we went to fetch her. It was a 17-hour round trip to go get her. And I'm very happy to say that she's over 11 years old today.
Oh, wow.
Kind of resilient creatures they are. It's like you said, they come from their beautiful wildlife with their moms, happily grazing, running, frolicking, playing, chasing wildebeest and warthogs, and their whole world is ripped from under their feet. That's all they have in life is their mum, and she's gone. She's lying there. They often try and suckle from that dead body.
Right.
We've seen this so many times. They fall asleep under anesthesia. The vets will tranquilize them. We blindfold them and plug their ears for their own safety and to keep them calmer and also for our safety. And they are put in a concrete world to put it correctly. And it's one thing that has kept me humble all these years. You have this baby. God knows what those little eyes have seen. And within 24 hours, it puts all its trust in you. The same thing that ripped its whole world apart.
Right.
You are everything to them. They follow you around. They take cues from you as their new mother. You're their source of comfort. And we do believe in that. That's how we approach this whole thing. Ari's motto is that love heals all wounds. And it is really true with these babies. They need the soft voices, the stroking, the motherly instincts, that proper TLC, if you want, to get through this really tough time. Once they're through that, they settle quite nicely, and you can start pairing them up with little rhinos of their age and size. And but it's the one thing that's kept me so humble all these years is that trust that they in you 24 hours later.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, oh my gosh, this is just like heart-wrenching. So do they, what is their post-traumatic memory, or do they suffer from PSD? How do you know, how are you seeing in their post-care, what do you see their trauma playing out as?
They definitely show signs of PTSD for sure. We've seen it a number of times over. And it also depends on the temperament of the calf. Some take it really hard, Some get over it a bit quicker than others. But this calf that I said had the 21 axe wounds, she was terrified of men.
Yeah.
She was absolutely terrified of cigarette smoke.
Cigarette smoke. Oh, wow. Yes. Of course. Interesting.
Yeah, the poachers they're doing horrible deeds, and they very often smoke very strong stuff to be able to keep on running the way they do when they have those horns. They have to do that. And when they're busy doing this deed, hacking sometimes a rhino that is not even shot, it's still alive, and they'll hack it. Yeah. So she was terrified of cigarette smoke, and when she smelt it, she would run blindly into the walls like it was a war.
Oh my gosh.
It was horrific to see. One of my big stories was little Annie, and Annie was scared of the dark.
Oh, little
terrified of the dark. And it's safe to say that her and her mother, there was a whole backstory with her, but that the poachers were after that mum in the dark. We think that the mum might have been wounded and then didn't go down, and they wanted that rhino, so.
Wow.
Yeah, they're desperate. The small babies that stay hungry for days without milk, they don't eat grass yet.
Yeah, right.
They only eat grass from 3 months old. So the very young babies often suck the fluids from the carcass out of the soil because they're so desperate.
Right.
And they become so psychological about milk in the beginning because we have to manage the milk intake, otherwise they get health issues. And when the bottle is finished, they scream and they go crazy for 4 minutes.
Right.
There's not going to be more milk. It's like
they have like a food panic.
They're just afraid. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's heart-wrenching. It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking.
So when you bring in a new baby, are the carers, are you with them 24/7? You're sleeping, eating, you live with them. They have constant care, especially if they're such social, caring beings,
Yes, that is correct. Anything 11 months and younger when they come in would still be on milk. So we work with those babies very intensively to get them on milk and get them rehydrated. Obviously, they're running IV lines and stuff like that as well, because dehydration is a big threat.
Okay.
So with those babies, we are with them 24/7 in the beginning. Really small babies, neonates, if they 2, 3 days old, 4 days old, like we've had in the past, we will stay with them for at least 2 to 2.5 months before we introduce them to a companion animal or
Wow.
another.
Incredible.
And that's
Incredible.
24/7. They
Yeah.
hate being alone. They
Yeah.
don't want to be alone.
Yeah, no, of course they don't. I mean, no infant, no baby does. I mean, especially, and I think
Well,
it's
that's their survival. They
right,
wouldn't survive.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is where it's like you were saying, people see them as these big gray animals with like thick skin and a big horn, and they're just sort of rumbling around. But this is why I wanted to talk about this. Like, it's so important for us to hear this and hear how much they're like us and how we would respond the same. And, you know, putting ourselves in kind of their shoes. At such a young age, I just think is really, really important. Okay, so you've got this baby in your care and it's safe, but this does not mean we are out of the woods, right? I mean, so talk to us about the health challenges that orphans face and what are some of the vet initiatives in young rhino recovery and the work that your incredible veterinary team can offer rhinos and getting them back to healthy and healing both physically and mentally.
So, you know, rhinos, I always say they are built like military tanks, but if you cut them open, they're made from custard.
Oh, like marshmallow inside.
Yeah, they're marshmallows inside. You know, their gut intestinal tract is really sensitive. So
Okay,
most
right.
problems are with the gut system, you know, with the intestinal tract.
Right.
Rhinos have this weird little behavior, and our theory, there's been no official research in this, but our theory is that they eat sand, and they eat sand when they're stressed. So displacement behavior, and we see this often.
Yes.
So the rhinos that come in very often have impactions, and that's a big health issue. Eyes have been a problem in years of drought, you know, of traveling with blindfolds and stuff. We have a rhino. She was shot through the shoulders at 6 months old. She was actually standing behind her mum, and the bullet that killed her mother hit her in the shoulders, went straight through. Yeah.
Wow.
And Tula is her name. Tula was captured in the middle of a very bad drought in South Africa. And for some reason in those years, we saw a number of calves coming in with eye problems, and it wasn't only us. Subsequently, there were other orphanages flaring up as well in certain places in the country. Thank goodness there's more than one place, because we wouldn't have been able to cope with the influx of calves, you know. And anyway, so Tula, actually, to make a long story short, she lost both her eyes.
Oh, wow.
And she's still with us today. You know, it sounds horrible that she lost her eyes, but the eyes aren't very good anyway. They rely on hearing and smell.
Yeah, she can be just fine.
Yeah, she's fine. She's 100% fine. She's an amazing animal. And she's also acting as a kind of a surrogate of her own free will at this stage. Because all the young rhinos older than 12 months that don't go on milk will go into Tula's camp. And Tula takes them in. They're her little kids. She takes them. It is just incredible. It is amazing.
That's incredible. Yeah, wow.
So yeah, of course we've got gunshots and panga, machete wounds that we have to deal with. We have seen a number of different things pop up afterwards, like diseases and things. It's a constant learning process.
Right.
After so many years, you know, we've been around for over 12 years. We are still learning every single day.
Yeah, of course. And I follow your Instagram closely. You've got such an incredible count there. Everyone will be following as soon as they're 5 seconds into this interview. Tell us a little bit about the prosthetics that your veterinary team has been creating.
Yeah, you know, in the past, years ago, large animals like elephants and rhinos, if there was anything wrong with their limbs, they would have been put down.
Right.
And this stage of the game, every single rhino is so precious. We had our first rhino that needed a supportive brace was Kulisi, and he came in 2019, and it wasn't actually at the hand of poachers. He was attacked by what looked like hyenas, judging from the wounds, and they bit off 40% of his right back foot.
Okay.
And we needed a supportive brace. He had to be casted initially. to give that foot a chance to heal and to take the weight off the leg. But to put him under anesthesia, cut off the cast, clean the foot, clean the wound, and recast, put that animal under anesthesia for over an hour. It was an hour, 20 minutes, which is a long time if you have to do it every 2 weeks.
Right.
They are animals that are very sensitive under anesthesia as is. So I will never forget, when we did his arrival post on our social media pages, the very second comment was an organization called Animotion. They do phenomenal work, this guy. He does human prosthesis, but he started, because he's got a soft place for animals, he started this little sideline. And he said to us in this comment on the post, if you ever need anything, please let us know. If there's going to be amputation, we can help. And we contacted them and they delivered big time, you know. And
wow, hero.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Khaleesi's boot worked really well. He's Cinderella. We had to change his boot every few weeks because they grow really fast. And then from there on, we had a calf that was attacked by lions. She was attacked by 12 lions at 1.5 weeks old. Her mum saved her life. And she still had a horn, so she was able to protect her baby. And little Impy is a warrior. And Impy wore a knee brace. The the world's first rhino knee brace.
Wow, amazing.
And hopefully by next year, she's doing really well. She's just over 3 years old. And by next year, her growth plates have closed and she will get the world's first knee replacement. On a rhino, there was quite a lot of damage in that stifle joint. So
that's incredible. Wow, who does rhino knee replacements? I mean, is this like a knee replacement guy that's like the same as the other guy? And
well, there are orthopedic vet surgeons, but Ari has a line of human specialists that are actually.
I was going to ask you if I was wondering.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think people would be. I mean, the story is so you see these baby rhinos and their little faces and their chubby little lips, and you're just like, people want to line up to help you. I mean, for sure. But incredible.
I am sure. Like you think about Doctors Without Borders, that kind of thing, where they travel to do these things. I'm sure there are people who would like to do that for animals.
I mean, forget cranky, crabby people with their crabby knees. Just let's get help for little babies. So wow, incredible. Cute. That's amazing. Amazing.
It's a baby rhino, who can resist?
Yeah, thank goodness.
So I guess you're dealing with the challenges of these, they just doesn't seem to end. But it sounds like, you're saying once the growth plates kind of close up and they've got this, they've got such an incredible team, but there's just so many challenges to just get them from that moment where they're living their wildlife to they're 4 now and they've, they know what they're doing and they've got it, they're okay now. And I think it's so many of us, we can understand how just through lots of love and lots of care, you can get back to a great place and they can not only just survive, but thrive. I think that's just really incredible. So I'd like to switch gears a bit now and focus in on 2 things really, because I don't think you can talk about one without the other in this context, and that is rhino conservation and the illegal wildlife trade and poaching. So how has rhino conservation changed over the years, and what are the most effective tools or methods, I guess, that you all have today in protecting and restoring the lives of rhinos?
Sure, Kate, it is, people don't realize the scale of what we are fighting here. It's organized crime. It's the same syndicates that deal in heroin, human trafficking, weapons. It's the same guys, and they're driving this. And we're fighting thousands of dollars, really. You're fighting money. They've got endless riches, and they can supply their poachers with what they need. And it's so difficult because money talks, and money corrupts even the best of people. Like veterinarians have been arrested for rhino horn trafficking and things like that.
Oh, and talk about selling yourself to the devil. Your soul to the devil. Wow.
They're not just, let's call it, preying on wildlife. They're also preying on people because they're making dishonest people of honest people.
Yes.
Because of if I can put it that way. So it is very
right.
Funds are always an issue, especially in government or state-owned reserves. I mean, world famous Kruger National Park, they said last year that they believe at minimum 40% of the staff are involved in poaching, and it's a hectic thing to fight. So there's been a number of things that people have tried, and to deter poachers. They were trying to poison the horns at one stage. That didn't work. There was outcry from human rights groups, and the horn is very dense. And they now the go-to is to trim the horns, and it is out of desperation that people do this. We understand. Yeah. So they're trimming rhinos' horns, but that presents a whole new set of problems.
Sure.
Rhinos being released and killed by lions because they can't defend
because they can't defend themselves. Yeah, right.
Young rhinos that get dehorned to protect them, but now they, it's at critical ages where they set their social behavior for the future, and they're learning bad habits. Yeah. They don't have there's how do you determine a winner if you don't have a horn, because that's what male rhinos do.
Yeah,
they fight territory, and they determine who the winner is. It's the stronger rhino that can fight best. And now, they fight with blunt fists instead of a sharp object. And if you and me go at it with blunt fists, we can go at it for quite some time. But if you give us each a knife and we fight, you're automatically more cautious, and you're going to get to the strongest winner much quicker. Yeah. So behavioral issues, I do believe we are going to see with behavioral issues in the future. Yeah. This almost lost generation, if you want to call it that. And then protection. Mothers protect their babies with their horns.
Right.
Impy was the prime example. If Impy's mom didn't have it, she would not be here today.
Right.
So, they recently found in a study that in a black rhino population, pre and post trimming, there were massive behavioral issues. They found that their territory sizes have shrunk by as much as 80%, and that their interaction has declined because of that.
Wow!
So that's a whole new area there of problems.
You can't even foresee this. Like you can't. Right. You don't know these.
Right. That's right.
You can't answer the question. You answer till you have the questions, and it's just like. Well, I've never even thought of that.
That's unfortunately the way it goes sometimes is here's a great idea, and then it takes a few years to see, we can't just, because when we interfere, even if it's with good intentions, we're interfering in a whole cycle of an ecosystem that has been
doing this for trillions of years.
It's supposed to do that. Yeah, right, exactly. That must be very hard.
It's just such a ripple effect. One thing leads to another,
Yeah, it's so true.
Horn trade. People believe that we could supply the demand, but now, with the prices that rhino horns are at the moment, only the elite can afford it. The super rich can afford it.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you do? So what do you do with the horns now? I mean, what is there anything you can do with keeping their horns and also contaminating them, so to speak, for the poachers?
Well, because we don't believe in the things that have been tried in the past, it has not been working. We were actually approached by Wits University and a nuclear scientist that we believe had a fabulous idea. It's really, desperate times calls for desperate measures. Yes. And we have now embarked on a whole new project. We believe that the only way to save rhinos and other animals like pangolins and all the other trafficked animals is to create fear factor, because there's no fear factor. The horns get out of the country easily. People are paid off easily. Our judicial system's failing us because they get away scot-free, or court cases are just thrown out, scrapped. So we have now embarked on this project of making rhino horns radioactive.
Oh, wow. And that obviously is like, not the same kind of radioactive. It doesn't hurt the animal or anything, obviously.
No, there's been substantial testing. It has been passed through all the ethics committees, the international ethics committees. So the Rhisotope Project have really done their homework.
Rhisotope Project, okay.
Rhisotope, it's a very interesting read. Nuclear science is not my field of expertise.
Weird. Nuclear physicist over here.
No, But the whole idea behind this, it's in safe doses. It won't hurt the animal, but there are only a few dogs, for example, that can smell rhino horn concealed in an airport or in cargo. People can be paid off, but there are over 11,000 monitors for radioactive substances.
I like it. Okay, this is really smart.
Yes, and on top of that, there are portable scanners as well that's used. And it's not a subtle alarm if this has gone off. They've done extensive testing now in New York with DHL and at the airports and harbors, and it works. It works. The isotopes are in the horns, and you can't take it away once it's there.
Well,
and then I'm hoping there's substantial penalties if you're caught with that. Then there has to be some kind of
exactly. You are, first of all, not going to get it out of the country.
Yeah,
because at the moment it just goes through diplomatic bags. You can't search diplomatic bags.
Right.
So now, if you are caught with radioactive material, you are not going to be tried in some court in South Africa that an obscure judge is going to be paid off.
Right.
This is an international crime because you are not allowed to have radioactive material.
I like it.
Like you're like a terrorist then, basically, like the same kind of ramifications, hopefully.
Yeah. Incredible. That's incredible. And then also, like, if you're getting this out into the world, into like the media, and people are talking about this, like, I don't want to ingest radioactive. Well,
that's what I was thinking.
I'm saying,
too.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when the word gets out,
people are going to be like, well, they're going to be a way to test if the stuff you're getting is radioactive, and then they're not going to want it because then people
doesn't cure your cancer anymore, which
it actually
doesn't
gives
anyway.
You cancer
but yes,
because
exactly.
Radioactive. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Let's hope that works.
So now, this is where agencies and governments need to really be working together. Which I mean governments, right? But these brilliant thinking ideas and that can kind of trigger governments and security into action is really what needs to happen. I mean, this is absolutely brilliant. And so what other ways can like someone like me and Jen like know if we're traveling east or into like these places that tend to want rhino horn, like what can we be aware of to know, like, wait a second, I know that's probably rhino horn? Like how can we identify this?
So at the moment, rhino horn is not really for public sale, if I can put it that way, because it's illegal. It's illegal in China. So, for instance, in Vietnam, there are special markets for the Chinese.
So it'd have to get on like the black market or something. Like you can't.
You don't get into those markets easily.
Okay.
So yeah, it's.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean,
that's
better than like I can walk in and buy rhino earrings, like, the tusk, ivory used to be like that, right? So like, that's good to know that I'm not going to probably see it, but it doesn't, it's also because I'm not a horrible billionaire that wants to do things like this, right? So. Yeah.
I mean, there are collectors, they do make libation cups and trinkets and stuff like that from the horns, but it is a consumed product, and that makes it also a lot more different than ivory. Ivory, there was a once-off sale in ivory years ago, and it failed elephants horribly because poaching escalated hundreds of percentages after this once-off push in. I think it was in 2007, if memory serves correct, and that makes rhino horn even more difficult of a substance or a market to judge. We don't know enough about these markets and stuff. So, because it's a consumed product. If you wanted an ivory bracelet, you buy it. But if you want to use rhino horn as a health tonic, then you're going to have to keep on buying it.
As
I said, at this stage, there are specialized markets because it is illegal to sell rhino horn in places like China.
That makes sense. So one thing before we move on from this topic, I wanted to talk a little bit about the media and how media is portraying, where where rhino conservation is. How or is the media helping, hurting? Like, because you're saying the numbers are far higher than we're hearing. So what's up with that?
So, with regards to the statistics, those are the official statistics released by the Department of Environmental Affairs. So not necessarily the media. And in the beginning, in 2010, there was a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
A lot of coverage. But it's that age-old thing, like we get used to things.
Yeah.
And it becomes an everyday thing. And that's where we are, I think, at the moment. Ari always says if you work around the orphanage and you walk past a piece of wire that's lying there, but you're in a hurry, so you don't pick it up today. And tomorrow you're running somewhere else and you go past it again and you remember it's there. It's like, okay, I'll do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
And by next week, you have gone past it so many times that you don't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's the same for me. I feel it's the same with rhino poaching because everyone was up in arms in 2010. Yeah. And now people are like, oh, but the numbers are coming down. It used to be over 1,000 and now it's only 400 a year and we don't even see it in the news anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't follow the right pages on Facebook or the right pages on Instagram, you don't see
you don't see it. Yeah,
it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
It's true. So it's that blunting off almost, if I can put it that way, of people. So we need to keep on having the conversation and keep on telling the actual truth of what's going on there and showing the horrific scenes and the horrible stuff. There's so much heartache in this world that people don't want to see those things, but we need to kind of force it down their throats if you want.
Yeah,
it's really important that we keep it alive.
Yeah, keep
Absolutely.
it on the front pages of something. Yeah, right. Somewhere. Right.
Well, and it's like Jen and I don't actually need to come to the Rhino Orphanage and dedicate our lives to protecting rhinos physically, but it's like if we all do our part within our homes, within our consciousness, within our hearts, there are things that we actually can do from, donating and just the awareness and doing podcasts like this. I mean, there's things that we can do, and I think it's really important in knowing that we can help protect wildlife. And this leads me to my next question, where in your world, protecting wildlife, especially wildlife that is so constantly vulnerable, is seriously a dangerous job. And you have security issues that you guys are really strict with. And we hear about rangers being murdered while trying to protect rhinos and many other wildlife species, in fact. So what I really like to talk about too is about the critical role that any species plays. I think it's easy for us to, going back to that thing of a big gray, thick-skinned animal sort of walking around, but they play a critical role in their environment. And I don't think we know enough about them. So talk to us about the role that rhinos specifically play in their ecosystem, and why is it so important to protect them?
Well, rhinos are considered an ecological keystone species because of their vital role in grasslands. They're bulk grazers, they open up habitat, they maintain or help to maintain a balance in the grasslands for other creatures. So
amazing. See, I didn't know they were keystone species. That's incredible. I didn't realize wow.
They're considered an ecological keystone species. Yes, they open up the grasslands. If there's not big animals that trample tree saplings, for example, the trees very often encroach in the grasslands, and there's so many animals dependent on grass: buffalo, zebra, wildebeest. I can go through all the names if you want. So if other animals like elephants and rhinos aren't there, then we're going to lose grassland habitats and animals that are specializing in those niches, in those habitats. Rhinos keep open water sources. They wallow and they dig in the mud. They make it available to other animals. So we can go on about this all day long, but they are critically important in their habitats. And if we lose them, it's going to start crashing. That web is going to start unraveling.
For sure. It's like they're the bulldozers over, right? They're like the getting like the hard, big work done, right? I mean, there's lots of different species that do all the little stuff, but these guys are the bulldozers, and like you said, a tank.
Well,
They just get in there and run it out.
And just thinking about them just lying down, like the footprint that makes just from them lying down and getting back up. There's just some open space. Yeah.
Right.
Rhino middens,
so true.
rhino middens. I take that as there is such a plethora of wildlife that gets nutrition from a rhino midden. Yeah, it's a pile of poop. It's an inbox for the rhino where they leave messages for each other. But I've seen so many creatures go and look for grubs. I have seen wildebeest in the dry season eat the undigested grass because it's such a valuable source of nutrition for them. It takes them through. We've seen it this year,
Yeah.
We had a really, really dry season. We're having to get in so much supplement feed at this stage, hay for the rhinos, to get them through this dry period. But we have increasingly seen wildebeest stand there and nibble at the rhino middens. So it's so important. Birds digging, mites lizards digging in there for food, honey badgers. It's I can go on and on.
Going on insects. I mean, it just does go on and on the whole cycle. And this is where that's where the keystone species, because they are the top leaders, they really do create this whole pillar below them. It's so critical. Thank you for walking us through that, because I mean, again, I didn't realize they were a keystone species, which is just, of course they are. But so Yolandé, just sort of to wrap up a bit, I want to end by asking you to give us a story or a moment that has impacted you deeply during your time at the Rhino Orphanage. And, maybe that moment is what ultimately makes this such a critical conversation for us to have.
The stories, there are so many stories, but I think one that stands out for me, and I mentioned her earlier, is little Annie. Annie's mom was poached right next to one of the main roads in a national park in South Africa. It was not the Kruger National Park, but in a national park, and everybody knew Annie. Her mom was very relaxed, and Annie would also always come, because her mom was relaxed, she would come to the roads and inspect the cars, and especially white cars, apparently. She loved them, and she would get all playful when they were there. It's a happy time for her. And her mom was poached right next to this road with this little rhino standing in the middle of the road. And the vet that captured her said to me, "Don't worry about dehydration. The carcass is very fresh. It's not even hours old." And Annie was captured. We took her to the orphanage, and then the first couple of hours she's still re-knocking on drugs, recirculating, falling asleep, getting up, circling around, and then it kicked into gear. She started getting horrific colic. She had severe impactions from dehydration. She got full-blown panic attacks. We had to give her Valium to keep her calm. We actually at one stage sedated her again just for her to get some sleep. She did not sleep. She did not sleep. I went 96 hours with 3 hours of sleep with that rhino.
Wow.
And on the 6th day, I said to the girls, "I need to go sleep. I'm dizzy, I'm exhausted."
Of course.
And I was laying at my overnight room at the orphanage, and it was late afternoon. And I could hear her starting to thrash around because the walls are connected to my room. And I sent the girls a message and was like, "Is she restless again?" And I looked at the sunlight shining through the shower window onto my door. And then the penny just dropped. And I think from that moment in time, I started understanding rhinos so much better, their behavior so much better. And I started realizing that they do very much experience things like we do. And I said to them, "Do me a favor, switch on the room light." And they switched on the room light, and she slept through the night for the first time in days.
Shame.
She was
little babe.
terrified of the dark.
Yeah.
And I still get emotional about that.
Hey, my gosh.
That's when I felt that I'm starting to understand you so much better.
Wow. Oh my God, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, little Annie. And Annie, on a lighter note, she actually became a hero because we had a rhino that got Theileria. Theileria is a blood parasite that
Okay.
they contract from ticks, and he almost died. We had to do an emergency blood transfusion on him, and
Wow.
Annie saved his life. She was his donor.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh. Annie, no, I can't.
Now, did she
Unbelievable.
grow out of her fear of the dark, or did that
She
last
did
forever?
eventually,
Okay.
yeah, she
Yeah.
did eventually. We slept with the room lights on, the bright lights on. You know, we always try and keep that natural rhythm for them, light
Right.
and
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
Right.
But we kept her bright lights on for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we switched to a little bedside lamp and then to
Yeah.
the infrared.
Shame. Just like a little baby who's
A
afraid.
Just like
nightlight.
a
Oh,
baby,
poor
just
little
like a
one.
baby. God, she
Oh
had
my
so many
gosh.
things wrong with her. That rhino, she also had ulcers in her eyes from
Oh.
grass seeds that were trapped in her blindfold, which we discovered later. So she went through hell and back. I mean,
Yeah.
Wow.
and she's a chunky, short-legged little rhino. She looks more like a hippo than a rhino at this stage. One gutsy,
I need a picture of
healthy.
Annie. We need a picture of
She's
Annie.
she's got so much sass. It's just not
I love
true.
it. I love it.
Yeah, well, man, sass gets you a long way through tough times, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
Well,
I'm so privileged. I'm so privileged to be in this line of work. It's been a dream since I was 5, 6 years old.
Wow.
And it's amazing and it's great, but there is an emotional toll though.
Of course.
yes, of
But
course.
we have such a sense of teamwork in our team. I'm so proud of my team. You know, we're like family. We're a very small team. We're 4 permanent carers, and Ari and his wife does our HR and procurement and donors. And we are a very tight team. You have to be in this industry.
Yeah.
You have to. You do. I mean, because it's the beautiful, heartbreaking thing is it's not about you, it's about them. And this is, you've dedicated your lives to this. And I think Jen and I say this all the time, like, what would this world be without you, without the Rhino Orphanage, without, Ari saying at that moment, this is it. This is the course of my life now. We're okay. This is us yesterday and this is us today. And it's where the inspiration is so deeply impacting and moving. And I think this is why to us these conversations are so critical, because we need to hear how our fellow species are like us and how they respond to us and what we are doing to create their difficult lives so much harder. And I think it's it's such a privilege for us to be able to speak with organizations like you. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts to be here today. We know you've got a baby that you need to get back to. So we will let you go. But again, Yolandé, thank you so much for joining us. And please follow, can you give us like website, Instagram, all that? So people in their donation pages, I'm sure that's on your website, but what are your handles and such?
So on all our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, we are known as the Rhino Orphanage. And our website is the same, therhinoorphanage.org. And, it is important. The funding is the critical thing for us. And I do just want to put it out there. People need to make double sure, whichever charity they are supporting, make double sure, because there's a lot of crooks out there. There's a lot of people who want to impersonate you, clone your pages and that sort of thing. They need to be 100% sure. And yeah, we do appreciate every single donor. We do. We couldn't have done it without these people over these years that have been virtually adopting a rhino under our care or donating whichever little amount they have. It has pulled us through. It has pulled us through.
Absolutely. Well, be safe. All the best to all the babies there, whoever's there now, and Binti Bum is one of my favorites, so check out their it's so cute, but they're just amazing creatures. And thank you so much for your time. Please stay safe, and hopefully we'll check back with you another time.
Thank you so much for having us and taking this conversation up with us through your podcast. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hey
everyone, and welcome back to The Takeaway. So there's a couple things that I wanted to sort of touch on, and most of it I've heard before. Some of this just landed in a sort of a different way for me, and I was really struck by the whole idea of, rhino horn in the international medicinal industry, right? And how the fact that, like, if you and I wanted to access a byproduct of rhino horns, that we really actually kind of couldn't. Like this, she was saying, this is like an elite group. They have money, they have power, they have access. They're very connected, very wealthy humans that are able to access rhino horn because of who they can pay a lot of money to in the form of bribes, and then top dollar for horns for poachers. And so you have people who are able to sort of pay off governments and then also fuel the demand for horns because of money, and all in the name of this medicinal sort of world. And it just sort of hit me in the fact, like, it just makes it so much harder for us to infiltrate these organizations because they have so much power and money and access and are dealing on that governmental level, right?
Well, and it's deep corruption, and like very, 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 it's multi-level, but it's also very separate from most people's experience and access, like you said.
Right. And I think that also, obviously, the trickle down is who really is suffering from this. Clearly, it's the animals. We know that. And then if you back up to the poachers, these are the guys who are getting caught and put in jail, as they should be. The top guys kind of aren't, it seems, a lot, because they're the untouchables.
They're insulated.
They're the ones with the power.
Exactly.
And not every poacher is a bad person. They're able to feed families and put themselves in a higher sort of space with more power and agency themselves. And it's this horrible, just sort of around and around the garden. And
it really isn't getting, again, to the root cause, because it's, and you can cut this out if you want to, but it reminds me of when in the like trafficking, human trafficking and stuff, like it used to be that sex workers were the ones who were arrested, never the Johns, who are the ones driving the industry. And that's where, if you take them out, there would be no sex workers. You know what I mean? It's not exactly the same, but it is. It's like almost they're half victim, half because they're doing it out of desperation for money. And what's driving that industry is the people that are still not getting any consequences.
Right. And it just is, it's a brutal, round and round. And I also was really hit by, like, when did this become a thing? Right. And, we were talking before we started recording, like, this is an ancient thing. Like, animals into medicine has been around for a long, long time. It's just who decided that, oh, you know what? Rhino horn cures cancer. So now we're going to make this whole international trade for medicinal reasons. And there you go. I need to dig into that, because I actually really don't know the history of where all this comes from. And and somebody's making a lot of money off of it. So someone's making a lot of money off that. And it really is, it comes down to me, like, why is it that still our needs and our beliefs continue to outweigh those of others? And especially when our needs inflict so much suffering on those with less power. And, humans across the board needs to check themselves, including myself. It's just such a reminder, and because if we don't, we will continue to lose the most beautiful parts of this planet. And we destroy the things we love. And, we've been told by experts that basically we're the worst species and kind of the dumbest, because we're the only ones who wreck our own house, right? Like you were saying before, like polluted rivers. We don't have clean drinking water, right? This is how we live, through water.
Right.
We need oxygen. We're deforesting the world type idea. And it just is like, It's just so crazy.
Well,
and
it's so
such a reminder.
short-sighted. It's so short-sighted. That's the thing. It's like there's money to be made, but what is the long-term cost? And not to tinfoil hat this whole thing about the rhino horn, but the fact that it's prostate cancer too. Like, who does that affect?
Right.
Rich old men. Sorry, but like seriously, whoever decided that, I mean, that was brilliant to be like, how could we get these rich guys to buy into this? I don't know. That's tinfoil hat.
I think your point is who has the power, right, in the world? Who holds the most power and agency? And I think that's kind of what you're saying. So we have some more digging to do. But thank you so much for listening. Please share this episode with the people in your village you know would love this. And please follow, rate, and review us. It is, for better or for worse, critical to our growth via Apple Podcasts and elevating our podcast in order to reach more listeners and get us a higher ranking. And again, our call to action today is to please jump on the rhinoorphanage.org and make a donation, however big or small. It all makes such a huge difference. And of course, thanks again to Yolandé and the Rhino Orphanage for speaking with us today, and just for the incredible work they do, because they have to, but also because of the depth of love they have for these amazing animals, and also the ecosystem that they all live in, which I think drives them day in and day out to keep going, to save the babies of Mother Earth, right? And all of our babies. I mean, I think a mother to one is a mother to all. So thank you again for listening. Thanks for being here, Jen, and sharing this incredible conversation with the Rhino Orphanage. And we will see you next episode. Lots of love.
Take care.
Kindred is hosted by me and my sister Jen, produced by Kat Gaddy and myself, sound production and editing by Dan Cooper, original music by Ellie Grace, and our Kindred artwork was created by Lindsay Coffin. Please follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts, and feel free to contact us through our website at kindredpodcast.co, where you can also find details about Kindred Plus, our subscription service, as well as links to our social media accounts and show notes.